What's up, guys? Metapunk here. Today I want to talk about the BRICS nations' global expansion and how I see these nations becoming a global powerhouse in the new digital economy. Alright, so let's get into it. So first off, I have an article from The Patriot, which is a Zimbabwean news company, and this kind of gives their perspective on the BRICS nations' global expansion. So down here they state, with Western countries once again leaping to their warmongering attitude, especially this year during this Russia and Ukraine conflict, there's been a shift in the global economic and political dynamics that many countries are drifting away from the traditional reliance on the West for a promised economic development that which has not yet benefited anybody. And then they also state the West is showing no signs of letting up on the cruel and abusive tactics, even though the signs that their global dominance is over. And they also state Zimbabwe has been on an upward trend economically, despite the West's illegal economic sanctions, and they find themselves in an alliance with the more ever-friendly and multipolar-focused BRICS nations. The relations with the current BRICS members have been solid as ever since its founding. There's been a territorial integrity, independence, and prosperity, as well as they don't interfere with each other. And there's also a win-win economic cooperation between all these countries. And then below here shows all the nations that want to expand to the BRICS nations. And they state the BRICS nations is set to expand with countries like Algeria, Argentina, and Iran that have already applied to join the BRICS nations, while other nations like Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt, Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, Nicaragua, Nigeria, Senegal, Thailand, and also the United Emirates have all expressed a willingness to be part of this BRICS nations. So yeah, overall in this video, I want to show the different perspectives on different countries that don't live in America or other Western countries, just to give you a better idea of how I see this expansion taking place. So as all these countries are willing to expand with the BRICS nations, President Vladimir Putin is suggesting a new international payment system that's going to be built on blockchain and cryptocurrency technology. And below here he states that on the basis of digital currency technologies and distributed registries, it is possible to create a new system of international payments, which is much more convenient but at the same time completely safe for participants and importantly independent of banks and interference from third countries, he said. He also states that global financial institutions should reflect on the realities of a multipolar world based on open democratic principles that excludes dictatorships, abuse, and monopolism. Also, the existing system of international payments is expensive, which is made of corresponding accounts and regulation that are controlled by a small group of people, which basically gives them control of everything. So as this new money system is being created, you have a lot of the BRICS nations countries that are advancing in digital asset regulations. So for instance, you have the Moscow Exchange creating a new bill for regulations over here. And then you also have Brazil's Congress that's regulating crypto payment systems that can be integrated within the banks. And Ripple partnered up with a bank in Brazil called TravelX Bank, which is going to enable a crypto enterprise payment solution. And then you also have China's digital yuan. That could be another solution that countries go to when there's a more digital system. And then you also have India that just rolled out their retail CBDC program on December 1st. So yeah, the BRICS nations are really speeding up the process of digital technology adoption and also the regulations. So once we become a more digital economy, I could see a lot of countries going to the BRICS nations as a better alternative to the current money system that we have now. And back in March of this year, Russia wanted countries to start paying for oil in rubles. So I think down the line, this is going to be a new trend in the BRICS nations that if countries want their supplies or resources, that they pay in their own sovereign currency. So if other countries are forced to pay these BRICS nations in their own sovereign currency, I think that's where solutions such as Stellar's cross-border payments and also RippleNet and the use of XRP to utilize these new payment systems, because if you want to do it in the current money system, it's not efficient. So I can see these being the main alternatives. Not saying they are 100%, but that's the best in my opinion. So when Russia initiated this new ruble policy, you can see there's a large trend going up in Russian energy spending between China and India. And I think as time goes on, especially during the winter when countries really need energy resources, I can see a lot of Western nations being forced to pay in rubles to Russia because they have no other alternative. And a lot of countries in the West are running low on these resources as we speak. So as all these BRICS nations are really developing their digital payment systems and also setting a new precedent that you have to pay them in their own sovereign currencies, they are really coming together to bring a more integrated CBDC platform. So they want to construct a multilateral regional economic integration. They want to create guidelines to promote CBDC interoperability. They also want to identify socioeconomic benefits for CBDC adoption. They want to create a coordinated monetary policy. They want to boost foreign direct investments and also foreign portfolio investments. And overall, they want to bring socioeconomic growth through expansion and trades through goods and services. So I think a system like this is more attractive to countries that have no opportunities and no economic benefits of being in the current money system within the West. Because the current money system we have now really only benefits America and then the other top countries within that system. So the other countries that want to look for growth, I can really see them transitioning to BRICS. As all these new systems and policies are being created, I truly believe the petrodollar is going to be shifted to a new system because countries don't have to rely on the US dollar as the main medium of exchange now. And I think countries are just overall tired of the petrodollar system because it's mainly relying on war and sanctions, and it overall doesn't benefit any one part of the system except the United States. Having a shift in the way we exchange currencies, there's also going to be a shift in the way we send value in different money markets. So we're going to have different tokenized bonds, different tokenized commodities, and just overall tokenized derivatives in this new money system. And this goes into something like the Tokenized Commodities Council. And overall, they want to bring innovation to blockchain technology that can enable the tokenization of physical assets. This council wants to be in the forefront of asset digitization, modernizing investing, trading, and ownership of commodities that will make it more liquid, transparent, and accessible commodity market. And if you go all the way down to the partnership list, you have different names like Diamond Standard, the Paxos stablecoin, Atomize, and Load. And Atomize actually created a digital system over in Russia. So these are a few examples of different asset tokenization solutions, but you also have this collaboration with Comtech Gold that runs on the XDC network. And they did a collaboration with the DMCC, which is the Dubai Multi-Commodity Center. And this collaboration was to bring the digitization of different precious metals to make buying and selling more efficient. I think it's great that the DMCC did a collaboration with Comtech Gold on the XDC network, because the main thing about the XDC network, it's a enterprise-grade hybrid blockchain that can connect with different public and private networks. Overall, this platform wants to bring a lot of solutions to the trade finance space, so I think in the future, a lot of partnerships and collaborations are going to happen within this network. And then I also want to throw in a platform like Sologenic that runs on the XRP Ledger, and they want to bring a lot of asset tokenization to different stocks, ETFs, and commodities. And in one of my previous videos where I was talking about the future of finance of decentralized exchanges, I did a nice brief overview of Sologenic, so I highly recommend you watch that if you haven't already. So as the US dollar is rapidly increasing in growth, a lot of countries are facing hyperinflation because their economies and their sovereign currencies cannot keep up with the US dollar. So now a lot of countries are trying to find different alternatives to bring stability to their economy. So now you have countries like China and El Salvador that are beginning trade talks. And the main thing with El Salvador, they state that trade agreements with China is very important due to China's economic strength. And for a long time, El Salvador has felt isolated from that potential. And one interesting thing about this trade agreement, China actually offered to help El Salvador with their bond debt. And I think as time goes on, when a lot of developing countries are struggling during this economy, this is where I think the BRICS nations are going to come in and help all these developing countries. So here you have another example that Ghana actually plans to buy oil with gold instead of US dollars. So it's like another precedent of another country trying to get away from the US dollar. And then you also have Zimbabwe that made their own gold coins legal tender to help fight hyperinflation. So we're seeing countries utilize gold, whether it's physical or digital forms. And then we're seeing a lot more collaborations within the BRICS nations. So for the past year, we're seeing a big shift in the money system. So when a lot of sanctions were put on Russia in the beginning of the year, a lot of countries and a lot of companies stopped doing deals with Russia. But Turkey is one of the countries that continued their grain deal that was going on. So that's another country that's going against the norm. And then you also have Western countries that are forced to dump their dollar reserves on the foreign exchange markets because their currencies are being devalued by the dollar. And if they don't try to keep up as much as they can, then it's going to lead to hyperinflation. And while all these countries are looking for different alternatives to the current money system, I find it interesting that the European Central Bank and also the US Federal Reserve are looking to launch a central bank digital currency, because in this current money system, the Federal Reserve and the European Central Bank actually benefit from this money system the most. So the fact that they're looking to launch a central bank digital currency, it shows that there's definitely a shift in the money system. So my main point is big banks like the Federal Reserve or the European Central Bank, they will be the last banks to implement CBDC platforms. So seeing a willingness for them to implement CBDCs by 2023, I really think a lot of things are going to shift between now and next year. So I want to end this video off with an article stating that Gary Gensler is planning to unveil plans of the biggest changes in about 2 decades to the way stocks are routed from buyers and sellers. If Gary Gensler's timing holds, he'll announce an open meeting for mid-December that would detail his plan to remake the nation's $46 trillion stock market. So I think this plan is going to be a system that's going to tokenize different assets in the stock market. And even though I mainly showed the coverage of the BRICS nations and the other developing countries, I think there still is a lot going on between the Western nations in the United States and Europe. And in the future, I'm going to show the West side of the digital transformation. Alright, so that's the end of the video. Thank you so much if you made it this far. I really appreciate it. So yeah, in my opinion, I really think the BRICS nations are going to be a big powerhouse when it comes to the new digital economy, especially because they provide different solutions to developing countries that don't have the same opportunities as these Western countries, such as the United States and Europe. And the main thing with them, they want to bring inclusion and different benefits for everyone, compared to the current system that we have now that really benefits the people on top. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out. So like I stated beforehand, this was the eastern side of the digital transformation, but in another video, I'm going to make the west side of the digital transformation. So yeah, it's your boy Metapunk. Thank you for watching, and I'm signing out.